We're here for a weekly Board of Commissioners meeting. We're at Courthouse Square, Senator Hearing Room, 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. We start our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, so please join. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first time is always public comment. We do have two people signed up, and if they would come over to the side and give us their name and go ahead and start. The first is David Wentz. David?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is David Wentz. I am the current commander of the Salem American Veterans Chapter here in Salem. I also sit as the junior vice commander on the state council. I'm here representing both the state council for the DAV and also the Salem chapter of DAV. I'm advocating for county veteran service officer. At the current time, veterans benefits, the application and the education of those are handled primarily through the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs. And as I'm quite sure you're aware, they're talking about budgetarily not being able to do that and to limit the scope of their activities with regard to veterans in Marion County. Now, Marion County is the only county in the state that does not have a county veteran service officer. And I'll just use as an example my organization. My organization in the last 3 years has brought in $64 million worth of benefits to veterans in the county. Standard administrative multiplier on monies that come in is 10. So you're talking about a multiplied effect of $640 million that is pumped into this economy that's derived from veterans benefits. And that's coming through my agency. You know, you have other agencies, you have the American Legion, you have the Veterans of Foreign Wars, you have the Paralyzed Veterans, the Purple Heart. All of us do benefits. Unfortunately, the majority of the things that are handled at the county level are done by people who do it on a volunteer basis. So a veteran that has a great need gets kind of caught insofar as his application is such as processed only whenever there's time available to do that. Sometimes those delays can have significant financial ramifications to the individual. Anywhere from just delaying his eligibility for medical benefits or for financial compensation, but it could result in actual loss of benefits. So, in addition, as I'm quite sure you're aware, there is a formulary that the federal Department of Veterans Affairs uses insofar as the amount of veterans who they recognize as being disabled, and that goes into the amount of grant that they give to the Housing Authority here in Salem, the Housing Authority for the county, various other homeless programs that the VA does. These are all figured on a per capita basis for the veterans whom they recognize. They don't recognize veterans that haven't at least submitted some paperwork through the VA. Unfortunately, with a lot of our veterans, they go and they fill out one sheet of paper and they don't like to deal with the government, they get fed up with it or whatever, and they walk away. You have a county veteran service officer, he can take that one sheet of paper and run with it for them. Get them going to where it looks like, well, I've got a chance on this thing, and then they can go ahead and proceed. You end up with people then that have access to vocationalized training at no cost whatsoever to the county or the state. Educational benefits, the same. Health benefits, and in some cases, even health benefits available to their spouse and their children. As an example, I'm on my second set of children. I adopted 2 children which were on welfare, that came from bad families, but I adopted them specifically so I could give them my GI Bill, and they're both going to school on my GI Bill. So those are benefits, just an example of some of the benefits that can be derived by having somebody that can deal with helping these veterans get the benefits that they're really entitled to. A big fat push right now with the VA is homelessness, suicide, veteran suicide, which incidentally, I don't know if you're aware of that. Veteran suicide is the highest killer in the nation. Higher than heart attacks, higher than cancer, higher than anything else. And just statistically, believe it or not, it's Vietnam veterans that are the highest suicide rate. So we can, if we have a county veteran service officer, they can see people that are in need. They can do immediate referrals for mental health at no cost to the county. Now with the new Enhanced Veterans Health Act that was just signed into law, even the monies for treatment stay here in the county and the city, because they can choose that now. A veteran can choose a local provider. So anyway, that's why I'm here. I have talked with the commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and I have talked with the commander of the American Legion, and they both strongly urge you to consider funding a county veteran service officer. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them at this time.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your service. And
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for coming here today. And we did have a discussion as a board about this on Monday. We are preparing a letter to the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs to start a county program January the 1st of 2018. So appreciate your comments, and we will work together on this. We've had some folks that have been at meetings, and we've asked them to kind of put together a map for us so that we can see. I mean, you've named a number of different volunteer organizations today, and we just kind of want to see what the landscape looks like as well. So hopefully they'll gather your information as well as the other information that we've been looking at.
Right. If you can give me somewhere to submit the demographic material for you, I can certainly do that.
We're really more interested in organizational information.
Okay.
How many organizations are out there, how much time, and if it's volunteers, how many days a week are they there, that kind of thing, so we can see what coordination efforts would need to be done.
Yeah, and I know from my organization, one of the big things that I'm pushing right now is we have a DAV van that runs between here and but it doesn't outreach to down to the canyon. And so that's my next thing is to push for an outreach down to the canyon. Mm-hmm. Our problem is, to be honest with you, is getting our volunteers that can go out that far, because you're talking about that's more than an 8-hour day by the time they drive out there, pick them up, and take them back. So, but we're addressing that issue also. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, I will get you a list of all the veterans organizations and the volunteers that are adjunct to the veterans organizations, and
it'd be lovely. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then David Beam. David.
Welcome, County Commissioners. My name is David Beam. I'm an advocate for special needs population. I'm going to be ambassador for the county fair for disability people and their families. Welcome all the businesses to come to this county fair, and I urge everybody to get out and work for the county and get the little kids come to the county fair, have a good time with all the fair stuff. And I'll urge all the businesses in being more involved for the county fair. And the county for the county commissioners.
All right, thank you. And I'm starting to feel like that's coming too. We get through the budget and then it's time for the fair.
Yeah, and I urge everybody, and I urge all the bus drivers to help out and get them there and home safe.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet. You got any questions, Janet?
No, thank you for all that you do, David, and for being our champion all over the community and the Capitol. You're everywhere.
Yes, and I like what I'm doing.
You do.
Yes. And I urge all the businesses and the doctors to attend the Marion County Fair too, the hospitals.
We want everyone there.
Yeah, I want everybody there.
Right.
And make sure that all the fire stations and the police departments there too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next, we do consent, and there's only one choice, Commissioner.
Guess it's me.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll move today's consent calendar. We have 4 items. First one under business services is to approve an order appointing Dennis Mansfield and Jason Boss as voting management representatives to the Health Insurance Study Committee. Under finance, approve a contract of sale in the amount of $23,726.41 for tax foreclosed property ID number R85061, located at 1460 Hines Street, Southeast in Salem. Under Public Works, approve an order to reappoint Carla Mickelson, Dennis Pearson, and George Gravenhorst, and to appoint Brittany Randall and Christopher Enquist to the Marion County Planning Commission with terms ending May 24th, 2021. Doesn't that just sound like so far away, but it's really not.
Forever.
Sheriff's Office, approve Amendment Number 2 to the contract for services with Telmate LLC to add $23,872.44 in funding through October 31st, 2017.
All right, I'll second the motion. So it's been moved and seconded to approve consent calendar this morning. Any further discussion? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. 2 action items, both under Public Works. We're happy to see someone from Public Works here. We'd have made something up.
We were a little worried.
Consider approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Salem in the amount of $245,000 for the Slurry Seal construction project. Brian Nicholas, go ahead, Brian.
Good morning. I apologize for being a minute or two late stepping in. Slurry seal is a maintenance technique. It's one of the items, one of the types of pavement maintenance that we have in our toolbox at the county. And a lot of the cities around the county use the same technology for pavement maintenance. City of Salem and City of Silverton are 2 of those. We typically budget somewhere in the range of $100,000 or so at the county level for using slurry seal on streets. It's just one of a number of pavement preservation technologies that we use. And the City of Salem and Silverton have similar sized programs. So we realized, hey, we have an opportunity for some economy of scale and by doing a joint contract that maybe we could put a unified contract out there that was maybe 4 or 5 times the size that we would normally pursue. So there's a good opportunity to get some very competitive bid pricing by pooling our resources into a single procurement. And that's what those 2 intergovernmental agreements are all about. So there's 2 in front of you for consideration today, one between Marion County and City of Salem, the other between Marion County and the City of Silverton. And I think that's the fundamental information at hand, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there questions?
Not really. I mean, it sounds like a very good idea to be able to do this. I was looking for my street on the Salem list, but I don't see it there. So. Oh, darn.
So these ones are project-specific agreements. We're going to use this year. It's been a while since the county has partnered with cities to do a large contract, several years, in fact. So we're going to see how this works this year, and we'll be talking internally about maybe approaching the commission with more of a multi-year agreement arrangement for consideration sometime in the next year. So this will be a opportunity to see how it works, make some process improvements, and perhaps pursue a multi-year agreement in the future.
Brian, I don't need any special report, but if you could sometime after the year's over and whatever, if you see me, I'd be curious if they felt like it was savings and how it worked. Maybe that'd
absolutely.
come out if you want to do it further, but I'd like to know that it accomplished what you were shooting for.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to do that.
All right.
Okay, so,
take
well,
them separately,
yeah,
but
probably
they're
need to take them separately because they're two separate contracts and two separate agenda items. So first one is to consider approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Salem in the amount of $245,000 for the 2017 slurry seal construction project.
All right, I'll second the motion. It's intergovernmental agreement with Salem on slurry seal construction project. That sounds hard to say.
I know.
Any further discussion? All right, I hear none, so call a question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. And now concerning Silverton.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the board approve an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Silverton in the amount of $100,000 for the 2017 slurry seal construction project.
All right, and I'll second that too. So this is to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Silverton. Any further discussion? No? And then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. All right, thank you, Brian. Good luck with it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I know that's all we have. Let me go ahead. I'll read now the places we'll be together, and I think I'm not going to be where everybody else is. Doesn't show up. Okay. Monday is listed as Observance of Memorial Day, so the offices be closed. Tuesday, the 30th, calendar review at 8:30 in the Silverton Conference Room, 555 Court Street, Northeast in Salem, 5th floor. That'll be followed from 9 to 11 with a Marion County Extension and 4-H Service District Budget Committee meeting, Silverton Conference Room. And then right into Marion County Housing Authority Board meeting, Silverton Conference Room at 11 to 12:30. Then that evening, 5:30 to 7:30, Empowered Foster Families Community Celebration at the Kroc Center, 1865 Bill Fry Drive, Northeast in Salem. Wednesday, 7 o'clock to 9, breakfast with Salem Chamber President and CEO. That's at West Salem's Ross Market, 1130 Wallace Road, Northwest in Salem. That's followed by our next board session would be 9 o'clock on the May 31st here in the Senator Hearing Room. At 2:30 on Wednesday the 31st, Capitol Community Television taping, CCTV Office Studio 1, 575 Trade Street, Southeast in Salem. So Commissioner Cameron's over at Bend for I never get it straight, but more
So
of a NACO
Western Interstate Region
meeting.
Conference, WIR they call it.
from commissioners from around. I've seen some interesting pictures. Doesn't look like it's all work, but that's something.
Yeah, well, this would be the western states primarily, but then the NACO board is invited, and so those are people from all over the nation that will come
Okay.
to the Bend area, and
They're heading that way.
I am, because
So should
I'm
that have
serving
been
on the
listed or
I'm
not?
serving on the NACO board. Well, I'm not getting there till tonight. He's coming back
All
tonight.
right, fine.
So we didn't cross, so it wasn't two commissioners, and they don't usually list it if they're not two in the same spot at the same time.
All
so.
right, fine. I just thought maybe I got to be in charge for a day or two. I was kind of excited about
You
it.
got a little window Wednesday night between like 5:30 p.m. and 9
I don't know
or
what
something like
change I
that.
want to make with this. Anyway, you're going to go and want to accomplish what?
Well, they're having a NACO board meeting, so I need to represent Oregon. I'm one of it's me and Larry. Larry from Umatilla County.
Oh, now you got
There was
me.
a past president.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking
Yes,
about?
I do.
I can see him, and I can't think of names today. So anyway, he will be there. We're the two. Tony Hyde served on it for a long time, and he's not on. He's not a commissioner now. And then Judy Shiprack, they had term limits in Multnomah, and she served, so we're both appointed.
So what do you want to accomplish? Anything particular?
Well, board meetings for NACO are very similar to board meetings for the Association of Oregon Counties.
Oh.
So when you think of what a board meeting is, It's like this board
See, I
meeting.
put B-O-R-E-D right
Yeah, you
away.
you approve
Yes, I do.
contracts, you listen to, updates from the staff. It's really around kind of the management and the policies of the organization. It's a very large, multi-million-dollar budget that you've got for this national association. They do an annual conference, a legislative conference, this WI conference, so there's a lot of education. They have a website, they have training materials. They go out and do workshops like we had with the Stepping Up, and then the big job that they do is advocacy on the Hill on federal issues that counties all agree on. So there's a resolution process, and those resolutions are finally brought to the board for final approval. So, but if you think about, you think about a board meeting at the Association of Oregon Counties, and you've got some commissioners sitting around a table in a room that's maybe half the size of this room. Now imagine a room that's maybe like 3 times the size of this room, completely filled with people, rows and rows and rows and rows of people, and you're on the board. So it's not like you're like sitting at a table with, 6 other people and you're very important. You're in like a sea of people.
Are there any particular policies or issues that you're interested in, though?
Well, on the WIR, they're generally talking about public lands. And, I do a lot of my focus is on mental health and public safety and homelessness and those types of things. So I will certainly pay attention, but I'm not bringing anything monumental to the
What I'd have you watch for, perhaps
discussion.
some main discussions on the Siskiyou thing and trying to get
Right.
some change on getting that.
Well, and I just saw there was an article in the
Removed.
Statesman Journal this morning on under this whole waters of the U.S. where a gentleman plowed his field and fined $2.8 million by the Army Corps of Engineers. So, right, yeah.
It's all
So,
rolled back.
right, so there's a lot in flux with those types of regulations.
That's supposed to really be going away, and that's one
Yeah.
that certainly could be. And
Yeah.
there was also, I just heard this on the radio, I don't know if anything you discussed, FEMA maps. Remember how we got disturbed? I talked about how it impacts the Tillamook County, even Marion County,
Right.
and they're rolling those back. And
Right.
I'll say it my way, not instituting the nonsense.
Right.
So I'm pretty happy about that. If anything comes up like that, I would be interested. All right, anything else you'd like to? You want
No,
to talk
just
about our
for-
pre-meeting a little more?
Yeah, just we were an hour late getting started because we had a debrief with a couple of people that have been offered to Marion County through the National Institution of Justice as technical assistance on doing pretrial assessment and putting in a pretrial system. And Bruce was there also. And for the debrief, I was interviewed yesterday. They interviewed and people from all the different aspects of jail and court and the other things that go along with that, district attorney and so on, and are putting together a report with recommendations. But what's interesting about it is that because of the research that's been done around evidence-based practices, and one of the evidence-based practices that we use a lot in Marion County are assessment tools. So we use those in our parole and probation functions. People that are coming out of prison or being referred by court are assessed using these various tools, and then a plan is put in place for them to help them be successful in the community and move forward in their lives. Well, what you do is what this system is talking about, or this initiative, is moving that forward to the pretrial system. A lot of people don't realize that our jail is roughly 70 to 75% pretrial. So we've got all these people in jail just waiting for trial. And the average length of stay in jail is 13 and a fraction days. When I started here, it was 11 days. That was so it's gotten longer. And I think we kind of messed around with the idea about could we just get the judges to speed up and make their trials go faster. We don't tell judges what to do, and I don't think that's an effective strategy. But what this system talks about is actually using that evidence-based model to be able to use predictive tools and keep the people in jail pretrial that are most likely not to appear in court and are a public safety threat risk to the community, but to release people who are low risk or even medium risk with certain, what would you say?
Well, supervision, controls.
Right. So you might have electronic monitoring, or you might have people that are asked to call in every day. And the other thing that they found, and I went to a training almost a year ago on this. Yamhill County's done a really good job with this.
They mentioned them.
is just phone calls, reminder calls for court.
you
And
got
I'm
it.
thinking, well, of course the dentist will, text you,
They
remind
won't
you.
leave you alone on my
Right,
phone.
yeah,
And I
exactly.
don't have a smartphone, so I can't
Right.
just say yes.
And human behavior being the way it is, why does the dentist call you? Because they want you to show up. Because if you don't show up, then they waste their time. And if you don't show up on time, it just messes up their whole schedule. Well, the court is no different. And yet we expect people that are possibly under the influence of drugs, have stress going on in their lives, to just remember these things. And then the cost when people don't show of getting a warrant, and then the judicial process if you have so many warrants. I mean, it just adds a lot of cost and to what end. So we're basically going to be rethinking this entire process that we use. And the woman that was here from Pennsylvania said that their pretrial program has reduced their jail population by 63%, right? Their pretrial population in jail by 63%. So what they're targeting for us is a conservative 50%. But if you think about the reduction in that and the flexibility the jail will have and be able to really focus on those people that need to be there, I think it's worth the
And they
energy we're
talked
putting
about
into it.
taking the number down to the cap too, to give a little more room where you're not
Right.
always up against the line. I have, my questions are going to be, I want to talk with the sheriff some more, the validity of the assessment tools, because you're assuming they're all correct and give you the answer you want. And I don't know that. And then this, and it gets back to these tools, maybe trumping an override that comes from a judge. That just didn't set right. And sounds like you're heading for trouble. I need to talk about it.
Yeah, you definitely have to have your judicial branch buy into it. So
Yeah.
they need to be confident in the
But
tools.
they don't
and
have to put this override on, and is that what it is?
Right. Well, but the other piece of it is, and this happened with justice reinvestment when we've been diverting people from prison and putting them into probation. So we're sending a lot fewer people now to prison than we used to.
Right.
The DA has changed his practices, his staff's practices in terms of what they're recommending. The judiciary bought in. It took a lot of discussion, education, looking at data, all of those things. And so I don't see this process as being a whole lot different than that. And one of the things that was interesting to me when we went through the justice reinvestment process was just simply a lot of people that are judges have had a kind of maybe a stereotype or a understanding of parole and probation that was not the current practice of parole and probation. So they're remembering what it was like when they were attorneys, 20 years ago or whatever, and parole and probation did things this way. Well, now with the evidence-based practices, they're doing things a whole lot differently, but the understanding of the judiciary hadn't really caught up to that. And it takes a lot of confidence that the supervision that they get, if you're going to divert someone from prison, is adequate, because a judge is elected and they don't want someone to, reoffend in the community. And, there's all kinds of cultural reasons as well as research reasons why people are concerned about that. So if you kind of overlay that experience that we've had with pretrial, there's also going to need to be greater confidence in what parole and probation, as they're involved, will do to manage, as they call it, people who are pretrial. Because if you just release people in the community and we do nothing, and then something happens, right, then the whole system loses credibility. But and that's what many people who are stakeholders would be concerned about. But if you have confidence that there are practices that have been demonstrated that they'll get the proper result, that people don't
And still
reoffend, that they
protect the
show up,
public.
they show up for court, then it's going to move forward in a good way. So
Anyway, it was an interesting couple
very
hours,
interesting.
but I have a few questions.
Yeah.
All right, anything else bring up this morning? Hearing none, then I'll adjourn this meeting, and you can head east.